everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kassiah and this is SiahSwag, and we have a new tutorial today. I'm really excited. I will show you how to sew up this new country cow design called the Demelza Handbag, and it is so gorgeous, very enjoyable to make. I absolutely loved every part of this bag. You guys are not going to be disappointed. I think she labels it as an intermediate, which I would agree. It's got a couple of little details that you need some practice, but as I always say, go slow, you can do it. I wanted to get a practice run on this because we are going to be sewing this up on our Patreon for our sew along for the month. That starts Thursday. We're going to do our cutout on Thursday, so I wanted to be well versed in it. You guys, I'm going to go over what all this entails. So the entire outside is using Tulip Bee's Faux Real. It made such a gorgeous bag. This is big. Like it is not a small little handbag. It is a big, I would say, tote. You got snaps on the side. You can do smaller snaps, but those are what I had on hand. The way that this front panel is put together, you guys will really like it. It's different. It's a different technique, and I really enjoyed doing it. We got big old purse feet on there. We got a cute buckle with rivets. It has D-rings for crossbody strap on it. I really do love this buckle detail. I think that is so cute. This calls for 3/4 inch buckles, but if you don't have 3/4, you could use 1 inch and just make your handle wider. That's not a big deal at all. So one cool technique that we did in this video is I put boning in these handles. I really like it. I really like it a lot, so they stay up and they don't flop down. I would highly recommend doing that. I think it really just adds to the style of the bag, makes it look just more polished. So I would recommend doing the boning. You can get it off of Amazon. It's an easy find. All right, and then the inside, I used a bonded nylon. This is from Wonderground, and then my solid is from Tulip Bee Smoothie Smooth. So you just have a slip pocket and a zipper pocket. You could totally add more to the inside. I was even thinking you could do a divider pocket. I may attempt that on the next one. I think a divider pocket would be awesome. It is big and roomy. It's kind of fabulous. So I did interface Decaville Light on my lining pieces, which I don't recommend doing Decaville Light on bonded nylon. It usually makes it wrinkle, but since it wasn't lining, I was willing to risk it. I like the shape it gives it, but I'm going to have to think about something different for the next one. I think I'm going to try foam for the next bag because I like the structure. You can do a more slouchy look and use less interfacing. You could do a more structured look and use more. It's totally up to you how you want to piece this bag together. But I think that's all. I will list everything that I used in this video down below in the description. And her pattern is amazing. Her details are amazing. She also has a YouTube channel. I will link that down below in the description if you want to see the designer's tutorial as well. I think that's always helpful. But I hope you enjoy this video that I did sewing this up. I absolutely love it. I want to give a Patreon shout out to Kim Artman. She's been a threadhead for 32 months. I think that's as long as we've had Patreon. So thank you, Kim. I really appreciate your support and love over there on Patreon. Go check it out. Like I said, we are doing a sew along and we are having a guest Zoom for the top level of Patreon with the designer, Joe, of Country Cow. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be really fun. Go check that out. And I hope you guys love this bag. And I will again link link where to purchase the pattern and everything I use down below. Let me know if you guys have any comments or questions. And thank you for all the support. Please like and subscribe. Let's start making this bag. Okay, let's go over our pieces for this bag. I think it's a very easy cutout. She has all the measurements that you need. The only thing that you actually need a pattern piece for is your zipper overlay. That's it. So very easy. I didn't have to print out a bunch of pattern pieces. I just went off the measurements and it was a quick cut. Okay, so for my exterior pieces, I have my 2 handle pieces here. They're marked and ready to go. She has the option for these handles if you want boning in the handles here so they kind of stay up. If you don't want them to stay up, you don't have to worry about this part and they'll flop down. That's fine. I'm going to try it. I'm actually curious and I want to see if I like it with the boning in. So I cut 2 pieces of that out ready to go. I have my main panel pieces. They're pretty big here. Okay. And I have already done my markings on these for the pleats. Okay. I'll probably do one off camera. So, and then I'll do one on camera. Pretty easy. She has all the markings either on the pattern pieces or the measurements in the pattern for all of the markings that you need to do for the pleats. I have my top also labeled. I think that would help. That will help. I have my top exterior panel pieces here. And I do have some markings. It's in silver pen. You can't really see it. I have markings on these as well already. And that's going to help me with the placement of the connectors and the handles. My base exterior piece is all ready to go. I have some Decaville Heavy on that. I went ahead and installed my purse feet, covered them with some woven interfacing. I feel like it kind of stays in place a little bit better than duct tape. It still pops up every once in a while. You just got to smooth it down. But I have that all marked and purse feet on. My connectors here, I've got those all prepped. There are 4 of those. And then I have it's for a clip, for a key ring or a key clip on the inside. Optional, you don't absolutely have to do that, but I cut mine out. We'll try it. I have my 2-piece F. This is the inside lining top piece. I am opting to do the magnetic snap closure instead of the zip closure. I just tend to like magnetic closures on bigger bags like this, but that's personal preference. So I'm going to do magnetic closure for this bag. The only thing that you need to change is that you don't have a zipper tape for that. You just have snaps. My 2 inside lining pieces right here, all cut and ready to go. Those are going to be interfaced later in the pattern. So I have some Decaville Light for my lining pieces. Decaville Light and bonded nylon. They wrinkle together. I just remembered this after I cut all this out, so I may change the way I interface it. And also, it's you can kind of choose the shape of your bag if you want a more structured bag or a more slouchy bag. So we'll see after I get the exterior together if I like the shape or if I think it needs to be added a little bit more. I may do fleece instead of Decaville Light. I'm not sure yet. But I have those cut and ready to go just in case. I have all my zipper pocket pieces. I have 4 of these. One's zipper and one is the slip pocket. I have my overlay and my trim. Which one's my trim? I'm not sure. Oh, this was supposed to be my overlay piece. I don't need that piece anymore. So I have my overlay and my slip pocket trim. And then this is my base lining piece. And I have some Decaville Heavy on that, ready to go. I think I'm also going to do a little top stitch on that so it stays in place. And that's all of our pieces. So for hardware, you need zipper tape. Not a ton if you're not doing the top closure. So I have my zipper tape number 5 right here. Hardware, you need magnetic snaps, or you can do like fashion button snaps for the outside sides. I'm just going to do these magnetic snaps for all of them. I have zipper pulls. There is a crossbody strap you can do. I will do that probably later off camera, but I do have the hardware for that ready to go. I'm probably going to do 1.5 inch webbing. So I have my slider and my 2 snap hooks for that. I've got 2 D-rings. And then the thing that I really like about this bag is the way the handles are on with these cute little buckles. These are 3/4 inch buckles. And I think I got these off of Indo Love Creation. I only carry 1 inch on my website. And I had gotten these for a different project. So these are 3/4 inch buckles with little pins. I think it's going to be really cute. If you don't have these, you could always use a slide, like an adjustable slide in place of the buckle. You just won't have the pin part, but that's an option too if you want to kind of use what you have. I think either of those would be adorable. My 3/4 inch snap hook for the inside key holder. I have some rivets and some 3/4 inch strap ends for the handles. And my nameplate. Gotta have my nameplate. I think that is it for hardware. I'm really excited to make this bag, so let's start sewing. To start off, we're gonna do some prep work. So I have all of my little connectors, my 2 D-rings and my snap hook, and my handle. Okay, so we're gonna start with the handle pieces. Again, you can put the boning in, you can leave it out, totally up to you how you want your handles to lay. I have my middle line marked here. I've got some tape. I'm just going to be folding my raw edges to that center line first on both of these pieces. Okay, so at that point, if you want to do the boning, you're going to kind of put it in the middle here. So I'm going to use my double-sided tape once again. I don't want the boning to move into my stitching. So I am going to put a piece of tape down the middle of one of these sides here. And then hopefully it'll stay in place for when I stitch this all together. I'm not sure. Is this longer? It's longer. Why are we longer? I'm going to cut it shorter. All right, and then I'm just going to, I'm not going to put it right in the end. We'll start about right there. I'm going to tape that in. Okay, just like that. And then I want to tape it or just close it like this. And I will stitch down each long edge. All right, so you can see it kind of gives the handle a little bit of a shape. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and top stitch down each side of this handle, and then we'll repeat for the other one. So I like to come up and go down the same way down this side so my handle doesn't twist. If you come back up the other way and your vinyl has any stretch to it, it might make your handle twisty, which isn't the best. So I'm coming down the same way on the other side. Okay, and there's my first handle. So when it's on my bag, it's got shape to it. It's not going to be flopping down and over. Ooh, I like that a lot. Actually, I like the boning in that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and repeat all of the same steps with the second handle. Handles are done. We're going to do these connectors now. I have my center line marked and tape on both sides. I always like to put a little bit of stabilizer on my connectors. The pattern doesn't call for it, but I always err on the side of having some stabilizer in any type of part that's going to take some stress with your bag. So anyways, okay, I'm going to fold all of my centers, all of my edges to the center, and then we are going to top stitch. There should be 5. So you have 4 exterior and 1 lining if you're doing the little key clip on the inside of your bag. I'm going to top stitch all these, and then we will attach the clip and 2 of your D-rings. All right, here we go. Okay, so you should have 2 with D-rings, 1 with a clip, and 2 with nothing. Next up. Okay, so we have our main panel here. I haven't done this before yet. This is the first, so I think I understand how to do this. I have my markings on here. You do top markings and bottom, and then you connect those lines, okay? So your lines on the back should be a little bit diagonal coming into the center, okay? And then I have some double-sided tape here and here. The first thing you do after that is you turn it right side over, and we're going to fold it to this line right here, and we are going to stitch along that line. What's my seam allowance? Top stitch. So, okay, so top stitch is usually done at 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and top stitch down that fold. And then you do the same for the other side too. So I'm going to take this side and fold it along this line right here and top stitch. This little detail on this bag is one of the things that caught my eye when I was looking at it. When it came out, I thought, that's really cool. I wonder how she did that. So I love this. Okay, so I have that top stitched along that first fold. And then you're going to take it to the other side and turn it out this way. And you're going to line this up with your other line here, which is why we have tape. That's why there's tape along here. You're taking this fold and now you're going to line it up along that fold, along that line, which on the other side then makes your pleat here. Now you can either just baste it or top stitch, I believe. She suggests a seam roller, so I'm going to get my seam roller. You are pulling it to the line, not folding it to the line. All right. I'm going to take this tape off, and now we're putting it there. Cool. That's easy enough. Okay, and then same thing with this side. So when you're done, it looks like that. That's really cool. So you have the option to top stitch, which I'm going to do because I just like a good top stitch. So I'm going to top stitch down that pleat, and then I will do the other side. And then she has a finished measurement for this panel as well. So make sure when you're done doing this that it all measures correctly. That looks good. I like that a lot because it gives you the illusion that it's pieced together, but it's not. It's just pleated. All right, so that is my finished piece. That looks good. There's the front and there's the back. Okay, I'm going to take this to my cutting table and make sure it measures correctly. I'll probably trim it down evenly here, and then I'll do the second side. So there is a very specific way to trim this panel down, so be aware of that. Read the instructions. You really have to pay attention to your center and measure out from there. You will be trimming a little bit down though. So pay attention to those measurements. Just don't start chopping. You have to be very specific, measure equal distances out from the center, and then trim off the bottom to the right size. So this is what it looks like when you're done. I'm going to go ahead and piece together my second panel as well. And then I will go trim that down. I would do the trimming on camera, but I don't want to give away any measurements that may be important in the pattern. And I want to honor the designer and not give away things that are important and that you need to buy the pattern for. So purchase the pattern, follow those steps on how to trim the panel down, and you should be good to go. She has great instructions. Also, Joe from Country Cow, all of her patterns also have their own tutorials that come out on YouTube. So I will link her channel as well for you all to see, because she does great instructions as well. Okay, I'm gonna go take this to my cutting table, trim this down as well so it's equal with the other one, and then we will go to the next step in the pattern. So this next step, you got lots of little steps to it. So I kind of did the first one already, so I knew what I was going to be doing. You are doing the exact same thing to each panel, because then when they're placed together, they're opposite. I know that seems weird, but trust me on that. We are going to be placing on our handle, which eventually comes down like that. It's very cute. Actually, it'll go on the other side, but and then I am doing a magnetic snap. Because this is actually our side seam. This right here and here will be our front and back center seam. I know it seems weird, but trust me. So I did my D-ring here, my buckle, and my handle, and my snap. I'm going to show you how I did that. She suggests waiting to put these rivets and this rivet till you're all done and you put it through all the layers, so it gives it a little extra stability. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to wait. I did do a rivet right here though, because I thought that'll be fine because it's got a lot of layers to go through. She doesn't have this one in the pattern. I just thought I wanted to add that since that's going to be where your crossbody strap is. I really wanted to make sure that's not going anywhere. So we are going to put the other side together just like this one. Here we go. Okay, so I have my top panel piece here, and I don't know if you can see, I do have some markings for the placement with my silver pen. I just did little markings and did the measurements that are in the pattern. I have my top and bottom center marked just because that's always helpful. Okay, so the first one I'm going to place is the handle. On the handle, the buckle connector and the D-ring. I did a line that is 1 inch up. That's going to help you know where to place these on your piece. So I just went ahead and marked those all across the board. Your handle and your connector are being put on at an angle. So that's what this bottom and top marking are for that she gives you. So this one goes on the inside of the marking, and so does this one. So make sure you're placing them on the inside. You want the folded, like where the handle, right, open edge of strap. Yeah, so the part where you folded the two layers together, you want that on the inside, okay? So I'm going to place it at that 1-inch line to the left of this marking here. And I'm going to angle it up to line up with that top marking. You don't want it on straight because then it won't hang correctly. You need it basted on at that angle. Okay, so that's important. All right, so I've got that at that angle. I'm going to clip both top and bottom just so it stays kind of put when I go to baste it. I want it to be at that angle. Okay, and then same thing with my buckle connector here. I've got it down here at this edge. Okay, now you're on the inside of that line, and I have this angled up towards this line up here. So it's on at an angle as well. And I'm just going to clip that in place. Okay, and then this little guy here, she gives you the measurements. Let me make sure I'm doing it right. The measurements are in the pattern for where to place this guy. It goes right here. Okay. And then that one gets placed again on that 1-inch line there. So it's got quite a bit hanging down, okay? And you're going to be basting it on right there. So I'm going to go ahead and baste these all on. And then there's quite a few holes we have to make for rivets. But like I said before, I'm not installing them yet. I'm just making the holes because we want to put it through all the layers. Okay, make sure your handle's at that angle. And we are just basting first down here. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here to my little connector. I'm going to baste this guy on. And then I'm going to come down here to my strap or my buckle connector and baste him on. Okay, so these are now all attached. Beautiful. So the next thing I want to do is attach it to my bottom piece, right? I have them all attached. I now want to attach it to my main panel bottom piece, which is this piece. Make sure it's laying correctly. It should be, the pleat should come up at an angle, wider at the top, more narrow at the bottom, okay? We are going to put this, flip it down right sides together. This gets kind of to be a lot to work with. It's a big piece, so just have patience with it and go slow. So now I'm going to clip. I like to go from the center out. These should be the same length because we did trim that panel down, right? And we are just going to clip it all together. And we are going to sew along this at our seam allowance that is in the pattern. It does get thick. You have quite a few layers of vinyl where your connectors are. So if you need to use a hump jumper or a folded piece of vinyl to get you over those thicknesses, go ahead and do that. She does suggest you might need this handle's kind of annoying to deal with. You may need a zipper foot to get close enough where this D-ring one is. My skinny foot just made it. Like I was just able to go over it with my skinny foot. So it will depend on your machine. Okay, I'm going to sew this on at my seam allowance and then we'll flip it up and top stitch. So this is the one that you may need your zipper foot. I think I'll be okay. Mine just makes it. Okay. So after that's sewn on, you're going to flip that top panel up. So all your pieces, that extra seam allowance of all your pieces are going down towards that main panel, okay? Because now we're going to top stitch through that, and that gives another row of stitching and security through all of that. Again, if you need to protect your material and your foot going over all of these layers, please do that. I have a smooth, skinny foot on my machine, so it makes it just a little bit easier for me now. Okay, it looks good. All right, so now we have to put all of our rivet markings, all that kind of good stuff. So we have, again, you kind of want to wait to put these through till you can go through all the layers. If you're like, nah, I don't want to do that, I'll just put it through the exterior. That's fine. You can do that, but you'll have more stability if you wait and do it through all the layers. So with the handle, she gives you markings. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark my handle here. I'll punch those holes off camera. It's kind of hard to bring all my stuff over to punch the holes. So I'm going to do a hole there and there. And I'm going through all the layers, okay? Even this top panel. I will do a rivet right here. Again, that one's not in the pattern. That's just a rivet I'm doing. And then on the end of this handle, she has measurements for the holes for going into the buckle. You can do multiple if you want it to be adjustable, okay? I'm just doing one. I think just the single is fine for me. I'm not going to do adjustable, but you totally can. And then this little guy here, this is your buckle, okay? This is this guy. So I want to do my first marking. Sorry, let me look real quick. From the top down, right? My first one from the top down, yes. Okay, I'm gonna do that. And this hole here is just going through the connector first. Both of these holes are. Okay, and say second hole just through the connector first. I'll do these real quick with my hand punch so you can see. Yes, I have it on my smallest one. I don't want the hole to be huge, so I'm just going through this connector piece. Okay, and then I'm going to do this one down here as well. Okay, there's those two. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my little buckle in. And I put the pin through this top hole here. Okay, and then put that down. And then it comes up towards the top. And this piece comes behind. Okay, so the next rivet hole marking that I do is going to be this bottom hole here that we punched. I'm going to mark it so it goes through this too. And then also through this top exterior, but I'm not putting the rivet in yet. I'm gonna wait till it's all done and put it through all the layers. Okay, so I'm just gonna clip that in place. I'll do my rivet hole off camera. And I'll punch all of these. I'll install this D-ring one, and then we'll come back and we'll do our magnetic snaps. Okay, so I have my holes all punched. I installed this rivet here. Hole is punched all the way through all the layers there. Done. Not going to do anything else with that. Now we go to the back of the bag here on the inside, or not the inside, on the wrong side of the exterior. I have my drop-in lining line marked. Note to self, I would do that next time before I did any of this. It's a little bit easier to mark before you start installing and have it all put together. So if you're, if you haven't done this yet, I would mark your drop-in line before you do piece all this together. Okay, so she has the measurements for how far in to do your snap or your magnetic snap, whatever you're doing to put those sides together. So I have mine marked. I also did a little bit of woven interfacing there because this has no interfacing on it and I'm putting a snap through it. I don't want it to tear. So I did a layer of that, and then I'm also going to do Decaville heavy with my snap. So I'm a little extra, I guess. Whatever. I want to make sure I do both the same. So I want the male. I'm going to put the male on this side. I've already cut my lines, I think. Yes. Okay, there's the male snap on that side. And then I'll put the female on this side. Okay, turn it over. I am going to put another layer of Decaville on it. Does it absolutely need this? I don't know, guys. I'm erring on the side of too much. Okay, and then my washer, I am going to put my prongs going out because I don't want the bulk on this, okay? And I'm making sure that my washer is kind of pushed down too. I don't want it up in my seam. These magnets are hard to lay flat. Okay, just like that. So this is my drop-in lining. It's gonna go to there. So it's just gonna miss this. Lucky for me, I have some skinny feet. I'll be able to get by that. But that is something you need to think about with these snaps. I was a little worried that they were gonna be in the way. I could have moved it down a little bit. I might, if I do snaps like this, again, I might move it down by 1/4 inch. So keep that in mind. All right, and then I'm gonna add this one here. I need to learn how to do rivet magnetic snaps, don't I? Because I think that would be super, super helpful on a bag like this. All right, so there is that even gonna cover it? Barely. Beautiful. Okay. So now my exterior panels have all the things on it. I'm going to then put these two together and we'll go from there. All right, so now we're gonna sew our two main panels together. Here we go. So I'm gonna put them right sides together. And do you see how when you put them right sides together, now your stuff is all opposite? All right, so we're going to take this, and you really wanna make sure that these two seams here line up, because this is now going to be the center, front, and back of your bag. Okay, so that's pretty important that those two seams line up. And then we're just going to clip. I'm just going to do one side at a time because we need to press the seam open and top stitch down. And then I'm going to install my little tag on this side before we connect the other side. Okay. So I've got that all attached. I'm going to sew down that at our seam allowance. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to open this up and open this seam up and top stitch. I'm going to check my bobbin real quick. I'm going to put in a fresh one because we're doing top stitching and all that kind of good stuff, and I want to make sure that my bobbin does not run out. Okay. There we go. Fresh bobbin. All right, so let's flatten that seam and we are going to top stitch down each side. And this is now going to be the front of your bag. So make it as pretty as you can. And you know, if you don't like the way this side looks, you can make the other side your front. You got 2 tries. My stitching went a little off right there. See? Dang it. It's a little hard with this seam right here. It's bulky. So I just need to be, go slower over it. That was better. I think I'm going to make this the back of my bag. Let's do the other seam. go. All right, and then I'm gonna have to kind of top stitch through the bag like this. So just take your time and go slow. Sometimes it's hard to show this on camera, so I will do my best. Okay. That looks good. Okay, I'm gonna do the other side. Okay, so it's all top stitched and put together. And now we have to add the base. Okay, slide it out here. All right, so now you should have a big old tube here. So those center seams now, that's the center of our bag, okay? I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put those here and clip, and then make sure that my, yep, that lines up still. Okay, make sure all your centers still line up. And then you're gonna take your base. I already have it marked, but she gives you measurements for a cutout here. It's 3/8 by 3/8. You just need to cut that out of each corner piece here. She says make sure they're pretty exact, okay? So I tried to do it very carefully and as exact as I could. Beautiful. All right. Okay, so your base should look like that when you're done with the corners all cut out. And now we are going to attach it. Okay, so we are going to take our base. So now this is the center front side, right? Or back. You want to take the long edge of the base with that seam that we just did. Okay, and you're going to center your base up with that. And we are going to sew on the long section, the longer side of the base. And we're starting and stopping at this cutout. Don't go any farther than the little cutout that you just did, okay? So I'll start right here and I'll come down and I'll stop right there. And then I'll repeat for the other long edge before we attach the sides. Okay, so I'm going to start at that cutout and come down and stop at this other cutout. Make sure that my other piece is out of the way. Right sides together. You can fit this into if that makes it easier. Okay, and we'll position it like that. Okay, here we go. I forgot to install my label. Shoot. I'll stop real quick after this and install my label. Okay, so do you see how I sewed from one cutout down to the other? And then we'll take this piece and we'll repeat on this side. I'm gonna stop for a second, install my my SiahSwag label, and we'll continue. Okay, let's work on the other long edge here. Okay, awesome. So now we're gonna sew through this side. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we're going to be putting a little snip just into our main panel here, right alongside this box, up to our seam, not through the seam, but right up to it, right there. That's going to help everything lay flat when we do our corners. Okay, don't go past that 3/8. Just right up to it. Okay, so when you do those snips, that kind of relieves this side to lay down and flatten out like that. Beautiful. Okay, so then now we want to just line this edge up. And clip it all together. Just like that, okay? And now we want to sew where we ended the stitching here. We're going to start, okay? And then we're going to come across. So I'm going to try and line that up right where that ended there. And then come down. And then I will try my hardest to line it up with this side. So I started here, came and ended there. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same on this side, and then it'll all be sewn together. Yay! Okay, just like that. Try and line it up. Done. Okay, and then your base is all on. Let me see, do we trim anything? Nope. Okay, you don't trim anything. Last thing we want to do, and then I'm going to turn this out to see what we have, is we can put some tape, some double-sided tape, whoops, along our drop-in lining line. So you can either do it on the top edge or down by the line. It doesn't really matter. Either way works. I like to just kind of unroll a big piece and start sticking it on. We're not, I don't think, are we folding it down? Yeah, she has you fold it down right now too. So we could go ahead and do that too. I finally got a new roll of DST that doesn't like tear at weird places. It's fabulous. It's a game changer. Okay, and then we're back to the beginning here. So she does something that's different that I haven't done before, is she folds it down now and then does a row of stitching 3/8 of an inch down. She kind of just tacks it all down, and then she does the top stitch, you know, at the 8th when you attach the 2 layers. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. Why not? Let's do it. So we're just going to fold this down to the line, and then we'll do a 3/8 inch top stitch. Ooh, I better make sure. I may not do it if my snaps are in the way. That's good to know. Let me get this all folded down, and then I'll see if my snaps will allow me to do that. Just because I used bigger magnetic snaps, so I will know when I do the sew along if we need to place it farther down. Okay, so that is folded down nice. Let me just check where these snaps are. If I do a 3/8, oh, I don't know if I'm going to clear my snaps, so I'm not going to do that. That's good to know. I think the next bag I do, I'll move down my snaps because that doesn't give me, if I do a 3/8 inch stitch right now, that puts it right by that snap. So I either need to use smaller snaps. I was just afraid if I used smaller snaps that it wouldn't hold together. Or I'll try and get the rivet snaps, one of the two, or I'll place it about 1/4 of an inch down. So keep that in mind for those. So I'm just going to leave this folded down. Let's turn it out and see what we have real quick. Bottom looks nice, very nice. Okay, so, oh, this is a nice big bag. So our corners snap together. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so this is what we have so far. So this handle will come over and down in there. Ooh, she's cute. That's a cute design. Okay, I'm loving it. All right, there's our exterior. We are going to move on to our lining. Okay, we are going to head into the lining now. We don't have a lot of pockets, just a zipper pocket and a slip pocket. So if you wanted to add more to the inside, you totally could. I am going, so we have a zipper overlay. I do mine a little bit different than she does in the pattern. So totally doesn't matter, whatever method works for you. I'm going to do it my way. But feel free to choose whatever way you would like. So I have my marking that she gives for the placement right here. And I'm just finding my center. Helps if I turn it this way for me. Finding my center, and I'm going to lay that on my center and my line right there. My tape is on the back, so it's nice and in place. And now I am going to put a little tag. It says, "Thanks, I made it." I'm going to put a little tag right under there. That's cute. Okay, I'm going to sew around the outside edge of this overlay. I'm going to pull through my stitches, so I'm not going to back stitch at all. Just it helps give a nice clean look to it. It's not necessary, but it does make a difference. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to stop about here and I'm going to just pull through my first thread here. So I'm going to just give this back thread a little tug and it pops the thread right here through. And I just want to pull on that little loop. And now both my threads are in the back, okay? And then I'm going to try and put my needle right through where I began. Right there. Okay. And then when I pull this out, I'm going to hold on to these two threads so I know which one I need to pull to get that one to the back. Just so I don't get confused. Right there. Beautiful. So now all 4 threads are in the back. I'm going to tie those off, but it just makes that look really nice and clean. I like it. Okay, so I'm just going to tie these off. Maybe. There we go. You can hit that with a little heat if you want to melt those. Okay. Now I'm going to cut out the middle part of this overlay here. Just away enough that it's not showing from the front, okay? Beautiful. Okay. So I do mine a little bit differently. So I have tape on the top and bottom of my zipper, and I'm just going to put that into my opening first. Did I do this the right way? I wonder if it's supposed to go this way. I think it's supposed to go this way, because that seems too short. Hold, please. Okay, that's better. Now it's long enough. I like to put double-sided tape on both sides of my zipper and place it into my opening first. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to kind of get it centered there and place it. Sometimes, usually I just take off one side of the double-sided tape and then the other, but this one's pretty flat and I don't have to fidget with it too much, so it's not that hard. Ooh, these are new pulls. Aren't they cute? I need to list them on the website. They're kind of like flat but oval. Ooh, I love them. Okay, so I've got that in. I want to now put on my first lining piece. So I'm going to take my lining piece with double-sided tape on one side here. And I'm going to put it along this bottom edge of my zipper pocket, but it's going to be facing up. All right, so the bottom edge, but facing up and right side down. My zipper is a little bit longer on the side. That's okay. All right, so my piece is going right or facing the right way. This is the bottom part of the zipper. My lining is right side down and it's going up. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm just going to sew along the bottom edge. I'm going to not backstitch so I can pull my threads through and connect them all really nicely when I'm all done. So let's do this first. So just this bottom edge here. About right there. Okay. So just the bottom edge, and I need to pull those through. Okay, and then I like to put a piece of double-sided tape along the bottom edge here. And then I'll fold this down. And then I want to place my second piece on top, right sides together along that top zipper edge. Just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to finish out my box. And I'll pull through my threads and I'll tie. Okay, so that's what it looks like from the front. Pull these through. And then we can close up the pocket completely because we don't need to leave it open for anything, I believe. All right, just gonna trim this down even. And then we'll sew it closed. Ugh, my zipper was uneven on my pocket. Look at that. That's okay. It happens. All right, I'm just gonna trim this down a little bit and we are all done with that zipper pocket. We'll head over to the other lining piece for the slip pocket. Okay, so I have my 2 slip pocket pieces, my slip pocket trim, and my lining piece here. Mark a line up from the bottom. I put some tape on it and we're folding up the bottom edge of these slip pocket pieces so they're even. I've never done this method, so I'm interested to try this out. Okay, there's one. The other one. Just like that. And then we're going to sew them right sides together just along the 2 edges. The 2 side edges. And I'm guessing just at our normal seam allowance because it's not mentioned that it's any different. So normal seam allowance, just like that. I feel like it's most important to make sure the bottom edges line up rather than the top because the top will be covered by your slip pocket trim. Okay, so I'm gonna sew, oops, that came out, down the sides, okay? Okay, and then we want to turn this right side out. I'm just going to trim that a tiny bit right there. Okay. Right side out. Okay, just like that. I'm going to put some double-sided tape along the bottom here, so these two layers stick together nicely. Because you sew them together when you sew the pocket onto the lining, so. Okay, and then I'm just going to baste this shut just to make it a little easier to work with. And then here's our trim piece. We want to put this over the top. Just sandwich it on there. I'm going to line it up with this edge and I'll trim the other edge down. I like to put it a little bit below that center line because you got some bulk it has to fold over there. Hopefully it ends up pretty even. Okay, I'm going to just trim this real quick, and then I'm going to top stitch that trim on. If I don't get both sides with the first row of top stitching, I just do a second row of stitching. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, got both sides. All right, so now I want to put it onto my lining. I've got it marked out. I don't know if you can see it, but I do have it marked out where it goes. I'm just going to put a little row of double-sided tape along here so it stays put. And then I'll center it. Okay, and then I'll sew it on. There you go. New way to do a slip pocket. Never done it that way before. How about that? Very cute. All right, beautiful. Okay, we've got our pockets on. I'm not doing a zipper closure. I'm doing a snap. So measurements are in the pattern on step 1, page 15 for snap placement. So I'm going to add my magnetic snaps to my lining pieces, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I have my magnetic snaps placed onto my lining pieces. I interfaced them well, protected them, all that kind of good stuff. I have my top lining pieces here. I'm not doing a zipper because I did the snap, so it looks a little different. I went ahead and marked, this is my fold line and placement for my stabilizer. She has the measurement and the pattern. I went ahead and just marked that, so when I go to put my stabilizer on, I know to put it along that line, because then you fold this down along that line. So that's just a little extra thing that I did. We are going to attach these to our lining pieces, and then we will finish assembling our lining. All right, here we go. So I want to take this and this right sides together. I'm going to center them up and sew along this and then top stitch it. Just be aware the seam allowance for this step is different than everything else that we've done so far. So just pay attention to that. Okay, I'm going to do this step for both lining pieces. Okay, so I'm going to flip this up, and I think the seam allowance away from the seams are behind it. Top stitch. Yeah, we're going to top stitch along the lining with the seam allowance going down. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat for the other one. Okay, so once you have your top lining pieces on, this is where you would go interface. I think I am going to try Deck of a Light. just because I know it's going to give it the shape that I want. It might make my lining look wrinkly. I'm going to have to be okay with that. My other option too is, do I really want to put it over the pocket? I think I'm going to make a cutout of the Decaville light so this slides through it, so this isn't stuck under the stabilizer. And I'll try to attach it as best I can, and then we will finish putting these pieces together. Okay, so I have my stabilizer on the back. It does make your, if you're using a bonded nylon, it makes it a little wrinkly, but it's not horrible. For a lining, I'm okay with it. Okay, so you're gonna want to piece these together now. So I'm gonna put these right sides together. Make sure this top seam lines up just like we did on our exteriors. That seam is important. And then we're going to sew down the sides. We'll start at the normal seam allowance at the top, and then once you get past this top exterior trim piece, you will increase it to a 1/2 inch seam allowance. All right. Okay, about right there. I'm going to increase. Okay, awesome. She also suggests opening this seam right here. I'm just gonna sew down and top stitch just down to here on each side of the seam. It'll just make it all a little bit easier in the end. You don't have to do this. You can just tape it open if you wanted to. Just like that. And then I'll do the same on the other one. Make sure it's laying flat. Oh my goodness, come on. So many things I have to worry about here. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna sew the other side together here. Remember to start at the normal seam allowance and then increase. All right, sides are sewn. We have a tube. Now we have to put our bottom piece on. I already clipped out my corners just like we did on the exterior, except it's a little bit bigger seam allowance. It's a scant of a 1/2 inch on the lining. But the process for attaching all this is the exact same as the exterior, okay? I don't have my centers marked, just a minute. So we'll start with the long edges first. Then we'll make that little snip into the main lining on each corner, and then we'll attach the sides, okay? So here we go. Right sides together. We don't have to leave an opening because this is a drop-in lining. Okay, so I'm going to sew starting at that cutout and stop at this cutout. Ooh. My bobbin got sucked down in. See that? Let's try that again. One time I didn't hold my threads. Okay, so we want to do that little snip again on the main lining panels right here. And right here. Awesome. Okay, so now this should box out and flatten for us. My snap keeps closing, which I guess is a good thing, but it means I lined them up correctly. All right, I'm gonna flatten out this center seam here. Okay, and then we're going to sew from edge to edge there. Okay, so from here to here. This light is just getting in my way today. Okay. Squish. Oops. Okay, there's your base. Whoop, whoop. And our lining is all done. Okay, looks good. So the last thing we need to do with our lining is fold this top edge down. We just want to fold it along the interfacing there, and I'm going to tape it down evenly. And then we will drop this into our exterior and top stitch. Okay, let's put these two layers together. So I have my exterior here and my lining is all folded down along the stabilizer. I want my zipper pocket along the back. So we're just sticking her in. Let's see how they fit. Looks good. Ooh, she's so pretty. Love it. Okay, so now I just want to, oh my goodness, this is so pretty. Okay, this feels huge. I want to just line and center everything up, and then I'm going to clip it all along the top, even together up here. Okay, and then just because I can, and it's just why I bought the machine, I am going to top stitch this on my cylinder arm. It is a nice wide opening. You flatbed people should not have any issues top stitching this. You shouldn't have to fight it too much on your flatbed, okay? But I will take this to my cylinder and get this all done. So I like to match up my centers here. Where's my other one? Right here. And hopefully we line up. So after I top stitch this, the only thing that's left to finish is all of my rivets and my handles. So I'll be punching holes, you know, through all layers there, getting the buckle all situated, and then we're done. Because I already have my snaps on the exterior. I think when I make this bag for the sew along, if I use these big snaps, I'll do 1/4 inch lower. I need to make that. I'm more saying that for me than for you guys. Mental note for that. Oh, so pretty. Okay. I also wonder if I did a self-adhesive fleece next time to the outside after it was constructed, that would probably work as well. There's probably multiple ways you could interface this bag. depending on what kind of shape you want it. If you wanted it more sturdy and stiff, I would say you do Decaville light on the exterior, right? Yeah. Or even foam. I wonder if foam would be hard with the sides snapping though. Fleece. I think fleece might be the way to go. I think I'll do that on my next one. Okay. So I have my top all lined up, clipped. I'm going to take this over to my cylinder arm and we'll top stitch this bad boy. All right, let's do this. Okay, all done. Ta-da! All right, it's all top stitched. It looks good. I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is just like assemble all of our little, let's see how this looks here. All of our connectors and stuff. I just want to make sure all of this lines up. Where are you at? That's cute. Oh my goodness, that's cute. All right, rivets and connect. And we're done. Okay, so we just need to finish the top handle part, which I already did on this one. Is this camera zoomed in? Yes. So we want to put in our rivets here, which I'll tell you now, my layers were pretty thick and my rivets, I have 9mm rivets. They just fit, like barely. It was a tight squeeze. So be aware of your layers and the size of rivets that you have. This one, I did a rivet. Well, you can't see it. It's underneath this buckle. Under there. To close that up. And then I put my handle through. And then I will put on a strap end to make that look all pretty. If you wanted to do multiple holes so you have options for your handle, you can do that. So let's just do that on this side. I already poked the holes throughout all my layers here. And we're going to put them on. Okay. So I've got this rivet here. My holes are almost too small, but I think they'll be okay. And then this. I'm also wondering if you could just make this a little longer to go into your seam here. I know it will make it a little bit thicker, but I mean, it's not any thicker than this D-ring seam, right? And then you don't have to worry about this being the only thing that's holding your handle. Just a thought. Okay. And then I'm going to finish putting it through. It's a very tight squeeze. Maybe. Right there. Like it barely pops through my layers. I do have longer rivets, but I don't think I have them in rose gold. All right, so there's that. I'm gonna go ahead and press this one. I've got my rivet press here. If you don't have a rivet press, you can just use hand tools. I mean, there are, you know, hand tool, hammer and little thing to set rivets. Okay, there's that. And then I'm going to come over here and put these rivets through. Okay, let's give those a good press. Make sure everything's lined up correctly. 1, 2. Beautiful. Knocking rivets everywhere. All right. And then just make sure your handle isn't twisted. And then put your handle through. Now, obviously, you don't have to have this cute little buckle to make this bag. You can connect it with just a normal, you know, connection. Oh, I didn't press this one. That was silly. Or it didn't take. See, that's what I was afraid of. These layers are pretty thick. This one did not work. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. That's okay. Let's try that one again. Okay, I think I just didn't get that cap pressed down correctly. So now we are there. Let's put this through. And then we will put our strap ends on and we're done. Right? Are we done? Other than a crossbody strap that I'll make later. At a later date. Hey. So pretty. Okay. I'll do my strap ends and we are finished. Okay, that is it for this tutorial. Here is our Demelza bag. I absolutely love how it turned out. It is gorgeous. You guys, go grab this pattern. Go check it out. Country Cow Designs. She has so many amazing patterns. You will not be disappointed. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. It really helps me out. Let me know if you have any comments or questions down below, and I will link everything that I used in this video in the description so you can find it easily. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time.